Evelyn Harper always silenced her phone before bed. It wasn't a strict ritual, but a comfort, one of the few small things in her life she could control. She'd learned years ago that nothing good ever came from late-night notifications, texts from needy exes, emails from bosses who didn't respect boundaries, scam calls claiming her car's warranty had expired. At best, distractions. At worst, reminders of everything she wanted to escape. Tonight, however, she forgot. The glow of her phone sat by her bedside, face up, screen dark. Outside, rain rattled against her apartment's thin windows, and the wind whistled through the crack where the frame never quite sealed. She lived alone on the third floor of an aging brick building in the old part of town, the kind of neighborhood where street lamps flickered half the time and the sidewalks sloped with root. She didn't mind. The rent was cheap. The creaks in the hallway had become part of her background music. She lay curled under a quilt her grandmother had made, staring at the ceiling. The storm made it harder to sleep, but Evelyn's thoughts were already loud enough. She was 27, working a job in tech support she hated, feeling herself slipping into the quicksand of routine. Wake up, commute, log tickets, smile at people she barely knew, come home. Repeat. It wasn't that she was unhappy exactly, more that she felt suspended, like a ghost haunting her own life. She turned on her side, reaching for her phone. Not to scroll. Just to check the time. 11:46 p.m. She sighed. Too late to start a show, too early to give up and call it a night. That was when she noticed it. A faint vibration. Not a buzz from her phone, it lay still, screen black. This was softer, almost inside the walls. A shiver rippled through her. Probably just the pipes. The old building groaned like a tired animal when it rained. Still, she glanced back at the phone, almost expecting to see something. Nothing. Evelyn rolled onto her back and closed her eyes. The memory came uninvited, like it always did on stormy nights. Her brother Noah, 4 years younger, the only person she'd ever felt truly connected to. The two of them used to stay up past midnight in their parents' house, whispering ghost stories when the power flickered, daring each other to peek into the hallway where shadows pooled. That was before the accident. Her chest tightened. She didn't want to think about that night. The headlights, the call, the silence afterward. The vibration came again. Stronger. Her eyes shot open. This time, her phone lit up. The screen glowed a sterile white against the dark room. She hadn't touched it. She hadn't heard a notification sound. But there it was, one new alert. It wasn't from any app she recognized. The message appeared as plain text across the lock screen, no icon, no sender. This is your last notification before midnight. Her throat went dry. She sat up, heart pounding, staring at the words. The seconds ticked by in the top corner of the screen. 11:48. Her first thought was some kind of phishing scam or malware. But the phrasing was too strange. What kind of scam told you that? Almost without realizing it, she whispered into the room. Before midnight, then what? The phone dimmed and locked itself again. The storm rumbled, shaking the window. She tried to laugh it off, but the sound caught in her throat. Some dumb virus, she muttered. Delete it in the morning. She set the phone back down, face down this time, and forced herself to lie back. But sleep didn't come. She couldn't shake the thought. Why before midnight? Why not after? Why not just say last notification? Her pulse ticked in her ears. 11:53. The minutes were sliding away. And beneath the storm, she thought she heard something else. A faint shuffle in the hallway outside her apartment. Slow. Uneven. Like someone dragging their feet. Evelyn froze. Her phone lit up again. This time, she didn't want to look. But she did. Another line of text appeared. 11 minutes left. Evelyn's hand trembled as she held the phone. The glow painted her face pale blue in the darkened room, her reflection staring back at her from the black edges of the glass. 11 minutes left. That was all it said. No sender, no app logo, no option to swipe away. Just plain white text. She wanted to throw the phone across the room, but she couldn't. Something about the message rooted her in place, like an invisible hand on her shoulder. Another shuffle echoed in the hallway. Her apartment had thin walls. She'd grown used to hearing her neighbors. The old man in 3B coughing at night, the couple upstairs arguing about rent. But this was different. The steps weren't rushed or irritated. They were slow. Deliberate. Too deliberate. She forced herself to set the phone down. Not real, she whispered. Not real, not real, not real. She slid out of bed, every nerve sparking. Bare feet on cold hardwood, quilt trailing off the edge of the mattress. She tiptoed to the door and pressed her ear against it. Nothing. Only the storm outside and the faint hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen. She pulled away, exhaling shakily. Maybe she was imagining the footstep. Maybe the message was just some glitch. Her phone buzzed again. Evelyn spun. The light filled the bedroom once more. She walked back slowly, as if approaching a coiled snake. Another message. 10 minutes left. Her skin prickled. The countdown was real. She snatched the phone up and tried everything. Swiping, closing apps, restarting. Nothing worked. The lock screen refused to budge. No icons, no menus. Just that cold white text, counting down her time. 11:50. Her thoughts raced. Was this some kind of timed prank? Malware that hacked the clock? Or, she didn't want to finish the thought. Noah. The name flickered in her mind. He used to joke about haunted tech. Glitching radios, flickering TVs, numbers that meant more than they should. She'd laughed it off back then. But if he were here now, he'd say, pay attention. Things speak when you're willing to listen. The wind banged something loose outside. Evelyn jumped. She wasn't paranoid. She wasn't drunk. She wasn't dreaming. She knew when something was wrong, and this was wrong. Her apartment felt smaller suddenly, the air dense, pressing in around her. She paced, phone clutched tight in her hand. What happens at midnight? She checked the peephole, half expecting to see someone standing there in the hall. Empty. But when she pulled back, her phone buzzed again. 9 minutes left. Her breath came faster. She could leave. Just grab her keys, run down the stairs, drive somewhere bright and crowded. But the thought of opening her door and stepping into that hallway made her stomach twist. What if whatever was out there was waiting for her? Her gaze drifted back to the phone. Maybe the messages weren't a threat. Maybe they were a warning. Her brother's voice whispered through memory again, clear as if he were beside her. Don't ignore patterns, Ev. They're telling you something. She whispered back. Then what are you telling me? The screen glowed. 8 minutes left. Her hands shook so badly she almost dropped it. The countdown was accelerating, dragging her thoughts with it. She tried calling 911, but the phone refused to dial. No contacts, no keypad, just the frozen screen. Her chest ached. She needed air. She pushed open the window, letting the storm rush in. Cold rain spattered her arms, soaking the quilt still tangled around her. For a moment, she breathed easier. But then she looked down. 3 stories below, in the narrow alley, stood a figure. At first, she thought it was just a trick of the rain, a shadow, a reflection. But no. Someone was down there, standing perfectly still, staring up at her window. Her phone buzzed in her hand. 7 minutes left. The figure didn't move, didn't wave, didn't even flinch as the rain battered its shoulders. Just stared. Her pulse thundered. She yanked the window shut, locked it, stumbled back to the bed. This was insane. She had to do something. Call a friend. Her mom. Anyone. But the phone was useless. She tried powering it off. Nothing. Tried pulling the case off, pressing every button. The screen stayed lit, unwavering, as the clock ticked down. 11:53 p.m. 6 minutes left. The figure was closer now. She didn't see it move, but when she dared another glance through the glass, it wasn't in the alley anymore. It was standing beneath the flickering street lamp at the edge of the parking lot. Evelyn's knees buckled. Her phone buzzed again. 5 minutes left. The storm outside howled. The building groaned. The clock ticked. And Evelyn knew, whatever was waiting, it was coming for her before midnight. The apartment seemed to shrink around Evelyn as the storm roared outside. Shadows thickened in the corners of the room, and every second seemed louder, heavier. 11:55 p.m. 4 minutes left. The phone pulsed in her hand like a heartbeat. Evelyn dropped it onto the quilt, clamping her hands over her ears. Maybe if she didn't look, if she didn't acknowledge it, it would stop. But silence was worse. The storm had swallowed all sound. No cars on the wet road. No neighbors moving upstairs. Just the clock ticking toward midnight. Her chest tightened. She couldn't breathe. She reached for the lamp and flicked it on. Light flooded the room, and for a fleeting moment relief came. Nothing strange in sight. No shadows slithering across the walls. Just her messy room, her half-folded laundry, her cluttered desk. Then the lamp flickered. The bulb stuttered, dimmed, and blew out with a sharp pop. Darkness smothered her again. The phone buzzed. She couldn't help herself. She looked. 3 minutes left. Her eyes darted to the window. The figure was gone. Evelyn backed toward the far wall, fingers scrabbling against plaster. She knew that the thing wasn't outside anymore. She picked up a heavy glass from her desk, ready to throw, her arm trembling. The silence cracked. Not outside. Not in the hall. Inside. A floorboard groaned, long and low, in the living room. Her heart plummeted. She wasn't alone. The phone lit again, before she could stop it. 2 minutes left. Her vision swam. She wanted to scream for help, but the words caught in her throat. What if that thing was waiting for her to make a sound? She forced herself forward, creeping to her bedroom door. She pressed her palm flat against it, steadying her breath. Then, slowly, painfully, she twisted the knob. The door opened with a sigh. The living room lay in shadow, shapes warped by the storm's lightning flashes. The couch hunched in the dark. The coffee table loomed like an animal crouching. She stepped out, glass raised. Another flash of lightning, and in that instant she saw it. A man-shaped figure, standing at the far end of the room. But it wasn't right. Too tall, head tilted at an unnatural angle, as if its neck had been broken and left that way. Its arms dangled long and loose, fingertips grazing its knees. It was watching her. Evelyn stumbled back into the doorframe. The glass slipped from her hand and shattered across the floor. Her phone buzzed again. 1 minute left. The figure moved. Not fast. Not lunging. Just one long, dragging step forward. And then another. The sound was the same shuffle she'd heard in the hallway. Her mind screamed at her to run, but her legs were led. She backed into her bedroom again, fumbling for the quilt like it could protect her. "Stay away!" she cried, the words torn raw from her throat. The figure paused in the doorway, half shrouded in shadow. Its head tilted again, the broken angle deepening. The phone in her hand burned against her skin. She looked down. Midnight. Her heart stopped. The figure was gone. The room was empty. The phone screen went black. She stood there, panting, staring at the doorway, waiting for the next moment. For something to happen. But nothing came. Silence. The storm had passed. The rain stopped. Even the wind held its breath. Her phone buzzed one last time. Hands shaking, she lifted it. No countdown this time. Just one final message. "It's already here." And then, behind her, something whispered her name. Evelyn. Evelyn. Her name slipped through the air like breath on glass. She spun, every muscle screaming, but the room was empty. Only her quilt crumpled on the floor, the broken glass glittering faintly in the dark. Her phone lay in her hand, heavy and ice-cold. The screen stayed black. Her pulse thudded against her temples. She wanted to believe it was over, that it had been some waking nightmare, but the silence was too absolute. The world felt paused, like the moment before a scream. Evelyn. This time the voice was closer, softer, and achingly familiar. Her breath caught. Noah? She hadn't spoken her brother's name aloud in years. But she knew it was him. The tone, the lilt, like the nights when they whispered stories under a blanket. Her throat closed. She had dreamed of hearing him again, but not like this. Not wrapped in dread. The shadows stirred. From the corner of the room, something shifted, peeling itself from the dark. The same figure she'd seen in the living room, tall and broken-necked, but now she saw its face. Or rather, she saw what was left of it. Her brother's eyes. Her brother's mouth. Her brother's face twisted at the same impossible angle. Her body folded in on itself. No. The figure stepped closer, dragging feet whispering against the floorboards. Her phone lit up in her palm. No countdown this time. No warning. Just 3 words. Why did you leave? Her vision blurred with tears. The accident. The rain. The headlights. She had walked away. Noah hadn't. And she had never forgiven herself. The thing leaned close. Its voice was Noah's, but warped, full of static. You silenced me. You silenced everything. But you forgot tonight. You let me in. Her hand trembled around the phone. She wanted to scream, to run, but the words cut deeper than any blade. She had silenced her grief, silenced her guilt, silenced him. Tonight, forgetting to silence her phone had opened the door. The figure loomed over her, head cocked. What's left after midnight is mine. The phone buzzed once more. It's done. The screen went black. And so did the world. When Evelyn's neighbors found her the next morning, her apartment was locked from the inside. No signs of forced entry. No blood. No struggle. Just Evelyn, sitting upright in bed, her eyes wide open, phone clutched lifeless in her hand. The phone was dead. Its screen refused to light, no matter how long it charged. But one detail stuck with the coroner. Evelyn's lips were parted, as if she had died mid-sentence. And on her nightstand, written in condensation as though by a finger dragged across mist, were 3 words. Don't ignore patterns. The lesson. The last notification before midnight isn't a warning you want to receive. It doesn't come from your apps, or your friends, or your boss. It comes from the part of yourself you've tried too long to silence. The grief, the guilt, the voice that waits in the quiet. Most people never see it because they mute the noise of the world, burying what they can't face. But if you forget, if you leave the door open, even once, something may come through. And if it does, it will take what it's owed. Because not all notifications are meant to be answered.